Welcome everybody to part 4. That's right, can you believe it? We're in part 4 of our series, Stronger, where every single week, that's exactly what we're doing. We are getting stronger. And my hope, my prayer, especially if you've been journeying with us for a couple weeks in this series, is that you're already feeling stronger. Come on, that your faith is getting stronger. Your hope is getting stronger. Your determination is getting stronger. That you are getting stronger. And if maybe this is your first time to join us in this series, welcome. My name's Michael. Let me catch you up real quick on what we're doing. We are in a series called Stronger, and we are discovering what it is that makes us stronger. We started in part 1. You can watch it on YouTube. All these are there. They're free. You can share them. You can watch them, subscribe to the channel, do all that. But in part 1, we shared this reality that struggle makes you stronger. And I'm here to tell you, if you're in a season, in a moment right now where you feel like you're struggling, you need to go watch that, because you will have your struggle redefined, because struggle really does make you stronger. Part 2, we share this reality that vision makes you stronger, that when we can see what's coming, we get a picture of what God has in store for us, that makes us stronger. And then last week, we moved it to that action, boss, and we said that action makes you stronger. We can have all the plans we want, all the intention in the world, but if we don't ever do nothing, we ain't ever gonna get stronger. So we went about that action. All that is in the past. Today, I have a fresh word for you on an idea that for some of you, as soon as I tell you what this is, you probably gonna think, I may need to click this video off. But don't do that. Stay with your boy. Don't end this sermon right now, because you need this in your heart, in your spirit in this season. The 4th installment, part 4, here's what makes us stronger. Giving makes you stronger. Yes, struggle makes you stronger. Action makes you stronger. Vision makes you stronger. But giving makes you stronger. You know, the church, and I don't just mean our church, I mean the capital C church, has always been about being generous, especially when things are difficult. When things are tough in our world, when there's calamity, when there's things that don't make sense going on, the church has always been this beacon of hope, this thing that stood up and said, this is going to end. We are going to be a part of the solution. Now, for some of you, you hear that and you don't know if you believe that. It's difficult for you to digest. It is difficult for you to digest because really, when you think about the church, sometimes you think about stories of preachers who live these lavish, almost celebrity lifestyles with what they drive and where they eat and what they wear and who they hang out with. And you're like, that don't sound like being generous. And I don't know about that. You hear stories and read articles about denominations and religions who kind of hoard property and hoard resources in an unfathomable way for a nonprofit. You hear stories of churches who maybe have physical locations and buildings, but when needs arise in their community, they don't fling open the doors to serve the community, but they close them to protect the carpet. And it bothers you. And I'm here to tell you, I get it. I get it. But hear me out. Truthfully, that is the exception, not the rule. I know a lot of preachers. I know a lot of churches. I know a lot of people connected to denominations and these types of things. And can I tell you, most of them embody what the church has always been about. The church has always been about being generous, especially in the most difficult times. In fact, there's a writer by the name of Rodney Stark, and he wrote a book called The Rise of Christianity, in which he sort of talks about, from a historical perspective, how did Christianity sort of take off? Like, it was Jesus and the ascension, but how did it go from like this small band of followers to being like the most influential and powerful religion in the history of mankind. Well, he does a deep dive there. And in one of his chapters, chapter 4 specifically, he dives into the Christians' response to pandemics in the Roman Empire. Now, some of you, that just caught you off guard because as an American, you thought you were the first person to ever live through a pandemic in the history of the world. And no, this has happened before. And here's how Christians responded. He gave 6 things. I'm going to read them to you. He said that what Christians did in those early days when pandemics would break out in the Roman Empire, that they cared for the sick, both Christian people and pagan people, even willing to risk their own lives. He said they offered answers and consolation in the form of a meaningful life to people. He said they had a notable contempt for death. In other words, they weren't scared of dying. He said they maintained an unimaginable joy. Come on, some of you will remember that. You can't steal my joy. You can put me in a pandemic, but you can't steal my joy. That's what this group of people, that's what Christians do. He said they demonstrated their love for God by loving other people. And then he said this, he said they maintained a bond with one another. This is the church that's always been about being generous to people, and not just at the beginning. Come on, the great Protestant reformer Martin Luther was famous not just for nailing 95 Theses on the door of a church in Germany, but he was famous for after that deciding to, when plagues and pestilences and pandemics broke out in his town 3 separate times, he stayed. He served. He wrote extensively about the response of the church in moments like that. Come on, if you've ever been sick and went to a hospital, if you got born, which you did, and went to a hospital, you probably went to a hospital, especially if it was in Memphis, that was named what? Baptist or Methodist or St. Francis. Why is there religious connotation, denominational connotation, even to hospitals? It's because the church, people of faith, have always been about caring for people, being generous, even in difficult times. And this is a difficult time. And that means that this is a moment that I really believe can and will shape the church. That this is a moment, come on, that will strengthen the church because we get stronger when we give. These are moments, this is a moment, I believe, for the church to be the church. That's what this is about. And that's what giving, making you stronger, is all about. Well, somebody in that chat right now just type, "Giving makes me stronger." Somebody needs to encourage their own mind as we dive into this. And you just need to say it out loud, sitting in a coffee shop. Say this out loud, going for a walk. Say this out loud, sitting at your kitchen table, that giving makes me stronger. Yes, it does. And it's a true reality. I believe a most true reality, like I just expressed, in a difficult time. In 2020, man, it's been difficult, hasn't it? I mean, this year has been so hard. In many ways, you could say it's felt like a wilderness, right? Like it has just been this uncharted territory where around every corner there's another obstacle, another bit of danger. And oh no, there's another wave of a pandemic. Oh no, there's more fallout. Oh no, there's more crisis. Oh no, there's more anger around every corner. It's been wild, to say the least. You know, we've been in this series of sermons walking with a group of people who were spending some time walking through a wilderness. You may have heard it said before that they were wandering in a wilderness, but that's not what we say. Because to wander, you have to be lost, and they were never lost. But they were strengthened in the wilderness. They were getting prepared for something in the wilderness. They were getting prepared for key moments that they would face in the future by embracing what God had for them right in front of them then and there. You see, as they walked through the wilderness, this group of people in the Exodus, this nation called Israel, they encountered some different moments. They encountered moments where God had to provide. Come on, last week we learned about this. One of those where they stood at the doorstep of the Red Sea and God parted the waters because they took a step of action. But there were also moments where God provided food from heaven in the form of manna. He provided water from a rock because Moses reached out his staff and touched the rock. And in the middle of the wilderness, in the middle of the desert, God provided for them. They experienced that and they needed it. They experienced receiving instruction from God. It was in this wilderness that God brought the 10 Commandments, and not just those that we know. He brought the fullness of the law. 690 something laws that he brought out and said, this is what it means to follow me. But you know what he also did? He also created moments and opportunities for their faith to grow, for their strength to develop, by inviting them into moments to be generous. And I want to take a look at one of those today. It's found in the book of Exodus chapter 35, and we're going to turn our attention there. And in Exodus chapter 35, I want you to see what God does in these people as he's preparing them for the future. It says this in verse 4. It says, then Moses, who's the leader here, he said to the entire Israelite community, this is what the Lord has commanded. Take up an offering among you for the Lord. Let everyone whose heart is willing bring this as the Lord's offering. And then the scripture spent about 15 verses talking about what it is they were supposed to bring and how they were supposed to bring it. I'm not going to spend my time doing that, but let's just say Moses was specific. But I want you to notice that how he was specific and how he wasn't specific. See, Moses gave them a list. He was like, we're going to need some gold, and we're going to need some silver, and we're going to need some purple, and we're going to need some goat's hair, and we're going to need some of this fabric, and this is the print it needs to be. Like, he explains it. But he never says how much is needed. He just says what is needed. God has said we need this, and we need this, and we need this. He doesn't put a cap on it. He doesn't outline a quantity for it. And he explains all of this for 15 verses. You're welcome to read it in Exodus 35, but your boy got to keep going. We're going to pick up in verse 20. Look at what happens after Moses has explained all of this list, the fact that God wants this temple built for the honor of his great name. Look at what it says in verse 20. It says, then, once Moses had given all the list, the entire Israelite community left Moses' presence. Everyone whose heart was moved and whose spirit prompted him came and brought an offering to the Lord for the work on the tent of meeting, for all its services, and for all the holy garments. Both men and women came, all who had willing hearts. It's a pretty beautiful and powerful picture of generosity. Moses cast this vision for what it is God was calling them to do. He explained exactly what was needed, and then the people went, and those who were moved by this came and brought something. See, there are two things here that are so important when it comes to generosity, when it comes to giving, that I do not want you to miss. And I'd love for you to write these down. Come on, if you're taking notes today, if you got our app, open up the app, grab those sermon notes, and write this down, because I need you to understand what the scripture makes so clear here, that giving begins with a need. To give, it always begins with a need. If there is no apparent need, no communicated need, no created need, then there's nothing to give towards. There has to be a need, and that need has to be presented in such a way that I know what it is I'm supposed to do. And that's exactly what happens here in Exodus chapter 35. But it happens to a very interesting group of people at a very interesting time. See, Israel as this nation, some of you know this, some of you have been tracking with you, put the dots together. Israel as a nation is in this wilderness because they have come out of captivity in Egypt. They are nomadic. They are a homeless nation, going to a promised land, but not there yet. And so they have come out of a place where they spent 430 years as slaves in Egypt. And let me tell you something, slaves coming out of Egypt didn't come out with a whole lot. And they go into the wilderness. And now they're in the wilderness. And part of their journey in the wilderness, God says, there is something I need for you to do. And I need you to do it now. And people responded to it. People who you wouldn't think could give, gave. Because it was a moment that God had called them to give. I think sometimes we discredit our present opportunity, our present responsibility, because of our present situation. It's very easy for us to look at our own life, to look at what's going on and say, you know what? That's a good idea. That's a neat thing. But because of what's going on with me, I'm going to take a pass. I've learned something about needs, though, and maybe you've experienced this as well, too. Needs don't wait until you're ready to come on by, do they? Has your car ever broken down when you needed it to break down? Like you were just like, you know what? If there was ever a week for my car to break down, this would be the week. No, your car will run better. Your car will fill itself up with gas that week. But on the week where you ain't got the time, you ain't got the patience, that thing wants to be, that's when the battery goes out. That's when the alternator goes out. That's when everything starts to fall apart on you. Open the door and the seat ain't even in there. Like everything starts to fall apart because it don't wait till you're ready to break down. Your computer don't work like that, does it? Nobody's computer ever dies right at the moment that you would plan to phase that one out and bring in a new one. No, it's when you're in the middle of a project. Come on, you've been working on that paper for a long time. Come on, you've been editing that video. You've been tailoring that Facebook post for a week now, and you're about to hit send, and then, because need doesn't wait till you're ready. Come on, when your kids need clothes, they ain't asking you. They just start growing. You know what I'm saying? Man, I'll tell you, sometimes with my son, I have handed him clothes to put on, and he puts them on, and I'm like, what is this? And it's like, well, put on a different thing. And it's like, we'll go through his whole closet, and ain't nothing fit because this man growing. And I need him to just wear what's here because I ain't got time. I don't want to go buy you clothes right now. But he didn't ask me. He just needed them because need doesn't wait until you're ready to pop up. And I have news for you that is not breaking news. It's news you know. It just maybe is news that you've forgotten or buried. But there are needs all around us. All around us in our city. Come on, they're all around us in our community. All around us there are needs. Come on, we are about to step into Christmas in a pandemic. There is uncertainty in so many people's hearts and minds and lives about what the future holds, about what the economy is going to look like in a few months or in a few quarters or next year or the next. And there's uncertainty there. There's uncertainty about their industry. Will it ever come back? Will their industry last another year? They've given their life. You've spent 15 years working in this industry. You spent 50 years working in this industry. And it's like, am I going to even have a viable profession in a year? There is need all around us. There's uncertainty around school. Are my kids going to go back to school? Am I going to go back to school? Is it going to be in person? Is it not going to be? What's it going to look like? How's it going to go? There's uncertainty around it. There's uncertainty around normality. Will everything ever get to some sense of being just sort of normal? There is need all around us. There's a vaccine coming. Vaccine's coming. But should I take it or should I not take it? Or is it going to be bad for me? Or are they going to make me? And I'm so there are needs all around us. And the need demands a response. That's why we give. Because giving begins with a need. But there's something else that giving begins with. And I do not want you to miss this. I'm coming for you right now. Giving begins with a prompt. Isn't that what the text said? All whose spirit prompted him came and brought an offering. Have you ever felt prompted to do something? You may not even be a spiritual person. You may not be a person of faith. You may not be someone who thinks a lot about the things of God. Have you ever been prompted to do something and then squashed it? Like you feel like you're supposed to buy their meal, but you're like, nah, I ain't supposed to do that. I don't want to spend $7.50 on them. I don't even know them that well. And you just squash it. You felt prompted to help out, and then you said, nah, come on. Look, you just look me straight up in the eye. It's okay. I've done that. I felt promptings like I should help them. I should step in there. I should say something. I ought to go see if I can do something. I ought to invite them over. Do you remember back when we used to invite people over before it became illegal to do that? Like, I ought to invite them over. They should come and spend the afternoon, but I'm just tired. I want to spend some time with myself. And we squash the promptings. I think that's most of us what we do with promptings. We feel like we should do something, and then we squash it. Can I tell you? I believe that's often how the Holy Spirit tries to speak to us and move through us. In fact, I'm about to change somebody's life with this next statement. Lean in. I am not overstating what I'm about to tell you. It is so significant when it comes to promptings. What you do with a prompt determines what God does through you. Some of you talk about how I want God to use me. I want God to do something with my life. If you want him to do something with your life, respond to the prompt. Come on, respond to the prompt. Some of you are complaining about the fact that God isn't doing anything through your life, but yet he's been prompting you for weeks, prompting you for years to take a step, and you keep squashing the prompt. And you wonder, well, I wonder why God doesn't use me. He's trying to, but he does it through a prompt. Because hear me out. God will never make you do something, but he will prompt you to do something. He will burden your heart. He will get you in a room. He will have you listen to a video and listen to what God is trying to do through a bunch of people, and something will spark on the inside of you. He will prompt you. But what you do with the prompt is on you, boo. And some of you want God to use your life. You want God to speak through you, to do through you. And that's great. What are you doing with his promptings? Because the measure of God's ability to use your life has everything to do with what you do with a prompt. And it was Israel who got stronger here. Why? Because they responded to a prompt. God said, I need a house built in my name. Even for a nomadic group of people in the wilderness, I need a place where my glory can reside. Moses, tell the people. And Moses tells the people what God has said. And he lays out everything. And the people walk away and they feel something. And it said that men and women, boys and girls, children of all ages, gave. And when they gave, it made them stronger. Can I tell you today, I believe it's my responsibility to share with you an opportunity that for some of you may feel like a prompt, but an opportunity for what God has called us to do here. What he's calling us to do in this season that is stronger. See, it would be so easy for us in this season just to lower our expectation, or better yet, go away and hide and just buckle our safety belts and hang on till we get to the other side of this coronavirus. But God said, I've called you to get stronger. And these are the moments where I develop you the most. These are the moments where you'll get the strongest if you don't back down, if you lean into my prompt. And that's what today is about. And so what I want to do is I want to share with you what God is calling us to do and how you can be a part of it in this season. 3 things very specifically. You can write these down in your notes. But this is what this Christmas season, this is what this stronger moment is about. Write this down. This is what we are going to do. We are going to give sacrificially. If you have been journeying with us for the last few weeks, you know that we have been talking about a date here in a couple of weeks that is the date of our vision offering. Every year, we have a special offering that we set aside to push forward the vision of this house. This year, we're calling it our Stronger Offering. And on December the 6th, in just 2 weeks, everything given on that day is going to go to fuel the vision of this house. You say, what's going to happen specifically? 3 things that we're going to do. The first is this. Is this going to enable us to increase our ability to bless people this Christmas? How are we going to bless people? Give me another minute or two. I'll get you there. The second thing it's going to enable us to do is to fund even more the vision that we have for Yellow House, which is a vision to provide quality, affordable housing for single moms. We are well on our way to purchasing our first house. And we believe this offering is going to add fuel to that fire to get it a little closer to reality. The third thing we're going to do is we're going to step into being able to purchase our physical location here on Summer Avenue as a ministry space that we own and can leverage completely for the good of this city and the glory of God. Those are the 3 things we are doing with this offering. Some of you are wondering, well, how much do we need? Here's how much we need. The way Moses explained it. We need everybody to sacrifice. You see, but put a number on it. Well, it would be a lot, because I got big faith, you know? I'd love to just write a check and we pay for this building. I got big faith. I'd love for us to go and just be able to buy our first Yellow House. I'd love for when you hear what God has laid on our heart for this Christmas, I'd love for us to be able to make sure every single thing can happen. What do we need? A lot. But more than we need a lot, we need everyone whose heart is prompted to give sacrificially. See, I believe if we'll all give sacrificially, God can blow our mind with what he does through us. So what does that look like for you? Well, for some people, maybe that means that you begin to tithe. You begin to put God first in your finances, returning to him the first that belongs to him. And maybe you set that up. And maybe on December 6th, you say, this is going to be the beginning of me trusting God with my finances. And I'm going to do it on December 6th, and I'm going to do it on January 6th, and February 6th, and I'm going to put God first. For others of us, man, we're tithers. We are the ones who fund the ministry that God is doing here, and I'm so grateful for you. But I believe God is calling us too to say, I want you to sacrifice in this season. I want you to give in a way that's significant, a way that's sacrificial for you. And that looks different for all of us. For one person, a sacrifice is $100. For another person, $10,000 is not a sacrifice. Whatever sacrifice looks like for you, let's do that. We're going to give sacrificially. Some of you are like, I want to. Hear me. I want to. I just don't know how. Can I tell you? That's one of the reasons that I'm so excited about the Stronger Financially forum that we've made. On December the 8th, I've got a friend of mine coming in. It's a Tuesday night. He's a financial professional, an advisor, and he's going to explain budgeting. He's going to work through what it looks like to save and to invest. And this is his world. He knows it way better than your boy. And if you need coaching, you know somebody that needs coaching in that way, sign up online today to be a part of it. Because giving sacrificially isn't about being stupid. Hear me out. But it's about trusting God. And some of that trusting in God is getting the coaching and getting the discipline around you to be able to do consistently what you hope to do. This season, we are going to give sacrificially. But here's the second thing we're going to do. Write this down. We are going to collect intentionally. Yes, we are. In fact, what we are working on right now is we are working to give kids in our city the best Christmas ever. Yeah, that name is on purpose. The best Christmas ever. You say this has been the worst year ever. I know. And I believe we need to end the worst year ever with the best Christmas ever. And so what we have planned are 3 days of opportunities and events centered around kids. In fact, on December the 21st, we are partnering with our friends at Las Americas to create an art fun day for kids, where kids will be able to be signed up in advance and come and have a middle of the day where they can play and draw in a safe environment, do art projects, and just have fun. School is behind them. Embrace and enjoy this season. And if your kid would like to sign up, they are welcome to sign up. But registration is going to close soon, and that's happening on the 21st. Then, on the 22nd and 23rd of December, each of those nights, we are going to have a gigantic toy giveaway where our heart, our goal is to collect 1,000 brand new, unused toys and give them to kids. Not your scrubby toys that's in your closet that your kid hadn't played with or you had when you was a child. None of that. I'm talking about new, in the wrapper, Christmas morning toys. And what we are going to do is we're creating a way for families and kids to be able to sign up so they can come to a store here at this physical location that's absolutely free and not walk away with one little toy and a pat on the head, but to be able to walk away with multiple toys, to have an experience that uplifts them in a safe environment. But to make this happen, we got to collect intentionally. And so that means starting December the 1st, we are going to be collecting toys from anybody and everybody. In fact, in our commons area, we will have a gigantic yellow present there that will be open on top, that we will be filling with toys, filling with toys, filling with toys. And I'm encouraging you now, you need to talk to your work. You need to talk to your boss. You need to talk to your office. You need to post this on Facebook. Come on, you posted enough negativity. How about some hope for people on Facebook and share an opportunity to be a blessing to people? We're going to collect 1,000 toys and we're going to give them and bless hundreds and hundreds and hundreds of kids this Christmas. And that's not all we're doing. We're not just going to collect intentionally, but write this third one down. We are going to serve outrageously. See, these ideas and a whole lot more take a whole lot of people to pull off. And we're going to serve outrageously. We're not going to hold tightly to our time, hold tightly. We are going to serve outrageously. We need people to serve with us with Las Americas for this art day that we're going to do. We need a lot of people to serve with us on that Tuesday and Wednesday night, Christmas week, to be able to bless kids with toys. If you want to sign up, you can sign up right now. All these details are on our website at believingchurch.com. You can click on a toy list and get an idea of what it is toy-wise might be good to get. Not like specifics, but just some general stuff to help push you along the way. It's all there, everything you need, but we need you to serve. We need you to step up and to lean in. We need you to be a part of this generosity in this season. And that's not the only thing we're doing. Because then on December 24th and 25th, Christmas Eve and Christmas Day, we are going to give people the true meaning of Christmas online, on demand. We are creating, on top of this, a worship experience. It's very short, to the point, but to enable families all over the city, all over the world, as they're opening presents, as they're sitting down with loved ones, as they're taking meals maybe with family around them, or maybe with family disconnected from them because they didn't feel safe to be around one another right now. To be able to be reminded or told what the hope of Christmas really is. It's going to be unbelievable. It's going to be the best Christmas ever. And can I tell you, the generosity has already started. It's already started. See, if you're watching this live or you're watching this before November like 23rd, this Tuesday, we are actually going to be a blessing to people right here in our city. Maybe even you need this, because this is a Thanksgiving. But I just got a call yesterday from a friend of mine who said, hey, I know you guys are feeding a lot of people, and we are. We're giving away over 1,000 meals a week from in front of our building every single week. Prepackaged meals. People are hungry, y'all. Some of you know this. And they called and said, hey, I got a connection with turkeys. Do you think you could give away turkeys? I said, yes, if they're dead, I bet we can give them away. The next thing I know, there is a truck that backs up to our building, and we have right now 200 gigantic turkeys that we are going to bless people with this Tuesday, 5 p.m. Stay connected on our socials. We're going to spread the word on Facebook. We'll get it out there. I promise you. How does that come to us? It's because we're generous. Freely you receive, freely we give. And here's what I believe. If we'll all step up in this season, I believe something remarkable can happen. I believe the worst year a lot of people have lived through can end being the best year they've ever experienced. That we can redefine a thing. That something that seems ridiculous and impossible could be a look at God kind of moment. And if you don't believe it from what I see, would you believe it from what these guys experienced? Oh yeah, back in Exodus. So Moses presents this vision, explains what's needed, people are prompted, and then they go and start doing what they need to do. Look at what the scripture says in Exodus 36, verse 4. It's just a few verses later. People have been bringing stuff so that way this vision can come to pass. Look at what it says. Look at what it says. Look at what it says. It says, then all the craftsmen who were doing all the work for the sanctuary came one by one from the work they were doing, and they said to Moses, the people are bringing more than is needed for the construction of the work of the Lord that he commanded to be done. After Moses gave an order, they sent out a proclamation throughout the camp. Let no man or woman make anything else as an offering for the sanctuary. So the people stopped. The materials were sufficient for them to do all the work. There was more than enough. Think about that. They stopped the offering. They said, we good. We good. Because a bunch of billionaires gave. They were slaves a few years ago in Egypt. They are now a homeless nation of people who gave. They had more than enough. So much so they had to stop the offering. I want you for a second not to think about what that did for the project, but think about what that did for their faith. Think about how it would feel to be giving sacrificially, to be helping, because because the man of God cast this vision and you said, something hit me and I'm going to be a part of it. And then you did, and all of a sudden they said, woo, open your, we got more than enough. They had a big vision and they had a big need, but everyone responded to the prompting. And there was more than enough. In this moment, as much as any moment in their journey in the wilderness, made them stronger, showing them what God could do through them. And I believe this Christmas could be that and could do that for your faith. It could. If you'll respond to the prompt. Because what you might look back and see, 6 weeks from now, is you see hundreds and hundreds and hundreds of kids getting toys. And a year gets redefined that they spent 9 months in virtual school. They spent 9 months staring at a Zoom call with a teacher. But this year ended with a blessing like they had never received. You hear the stories of more people being able to engage with the Word of God, engage with the hope of Christmas right in their home. You hear families blessed, a community blessed, and in the middle of a pandemic, something on the inside of you, because you responded to a prompt, said, look at what God is doing. It makes you stronger when you're a part of the miracle. You see, miracles begin, write this down, with your response to his prompt. So today I want to just pray for you right now that would be true of you, that you would respond to his prompt. And if God tells you do nothing, then baby, do nothing. If God tells you bet the farm, bet the farm. Respond to his prompt. And see if you don't step back a bit and find yourself stronger because you were generous. Let me pray for you. Jesus, I thank you that you're good and faithful to us. I'm thankful that you're gracious enough to prompt us and to allow us to be a part of what you're doing in the earth. God, I pray you provide the resource. God, I pray you provide the opportunities. God, I pray you provide the people who need to be blessed. And God, I pray that every one of us who feels prompted would take a step, a sacrificial step, a generous step for the honor of your great name. Believing that when we take that step, we will be stronger because we know that giving makes us stronger. Jesus, I love you. I thank you. And I pray all this in your name. Amen.